So one of the things I get asked about the most is how do I combine various guitar techniques like sweep picking, legato, alternate picking, and so forth. How do you combine that stuff when you're improvising? And the answer is both simple and complex. Simple because actually I don't think about doing that. Most players who are skilled at putting these things together don't really think about, okay, I'm going to play some alternate picking here, I'm going to play some legato here. But it's complex in that first, before you get to the stage where you're not thinking about how to combine stuff, you have to think about it. So one of the things that happens is, and one of the problems that creates the question of how do you combine stuff, is that we're taught to practice technique in isolation. So we practice things like alternate picking for a half an hour. Then we practice legato for 15 or 20 minutes. And then we work on our sweep picking arpeggios for 10 minutes. What that can do, though, if we're not careful, is produce a high level of technique without any way to actually apply it to real music. That's a problem. Then we just have something we can show off to our friends in the form of technical exercises, but we have no usable technique that we can actually be musical with. So there's a couple of things we need to do to get over the hump. First, we need to practice applying our technique to music. And as we do that, we can branch out. We can take a sweep picking idea and think, how can I connect that with some legato ideas? And then we work, and then we try it out. It's a lot of trial and error. But the more you do that in the context of music, the more you create a working vocabulary that becomes your own and becomes something that comes out of you naturally as you play. Comfort yourself in knowing that you haven't wasted time developing your chops. That's all good. Working on your technique is a good thing. Now, if you're stuck in this though, and how to apply this to music and how to start combining things, now we need to take the next step. So we need a piece of music. You can pick one of your favorite songs to play over, or you can create a jam track, or you can jam with your buddies. The key is to play in the context of music. So to take an idea like a sweep picking line, you heard me at the beginning, I was improvising in the key of B minor. And I wasn't thinking about what I was going to do, except I knew that I wanted to demonstrate for you guys that I'm using different techniques. So I had that in the back of my mind, but I didn't have any preconceived licks or anything like that. And maybe there's a few clams in there even, but it's improvising, and that's okay. You want to be free to express yourself. And to be able to do that, you have to work at applying your technique to music. And then as you do that, you can start combining stuff, and it'll just really flow. Okay, so what can you do? Well, if you have a backing track, let's say you have something like I have here, which is just on my looper, and it's a B minor type of chord progression. First thing you need to do, figure out what scale, works with the chord progression. So I'm in B natural minor, B Aeolian, and I know that I can use that scale along with the minor pentatonic and blues scales. Also, I can use any of the arpeggios that are in the key of B natural minor. When we take a technique, let's say like legato, and I'm playing at the 5th fret in the key of B minor. So I'm playing this shape. And I'm just picking the first note on each string. In my improvisation, I think I did a pattern something like this. But if you just play that over a piece of music, it's going to sound like an exercise unless you come out of that in a musical way. So now I'm combining that with my blues scales and my pentatonic scales. So hopefully you saw what I did there. I just kind of changed midstream. Okay, let's say I'm going to move on from here now. Okay, there's a little sweep picking line, so I'm easing my way into different things. That's what my ear hears. There's a nice little arpeggio. So as your ear develops and your chops in your ears come together, so to speak, you'll start getting a lot of your own ideas as you kind of follow your intuition. Also, don't try to force it. Just kind of let this come naturally to you and accept the fact that this is a process. For weeks and months and years, I'm still working on it. I've been playing for a long time. A lot of you guys have as well. And if you're feeling stuck, be encouraged, but do start the process. So to sum this up and to help you take the next step from here, work on your technique. Get yourself maybe 5 exercises that you really like that span a few different techniques. So maybe one cool alternate picking lick, one cool legato lick, one cool sweep picking lick, maybe a tapping lick or a string skipping lick, or a couple of each. Put them all in the same key. So maybe, as in this example, put them all in the key of B minor. Change the notes, whatever you have to do. Then find yourself a jam track in the key of B minor and start working on applying these exercises over that jam track. You're going to have to adjust some things. If your exercise is too fast, in other words, if you're playing 16th note triplets and that's just too much for your technique to play over the track, you might have to adjust it down to 16th notes or 8th note triplets. No shame in that. We're not trying, this isn't the Olympics here, we're not trying to achieve a world record in speed. We're just trying to create music and be musical. So take that idea, adjust it for the tempo that you're playing over and the style. If it's a hard rock thing or if it's the bluesy thing, you might need to adjust accordingly. Now, as you begin applying these things over the music, be aware. So that's step 1, is move the exercises into the same key. Step 2 is find the jam track. Step 3, start applying these over the jam track freely. Don't think about it too much, just do it. Step 4, let's refine the process. So now we want to not only play the exercises over the jam tracks, but we want to surround it with cool phrasing ideas. Bending, vibrato, okay? Combining scale type ideas with bluesy ideas. Combining sweep picking with a cool bend at the end, not just leaving it hanging. Things like that. Think about your phrasing. Think about how to connect more with the chord progression you're playing over. If you're just playing over one chord, cool. But if you have a chord progression, let your inner ear kind of guide you to what's going to sound good over the next chord in the chord progression, and not just play from your fingers. Also, make sure you have pauses in your playing. So if you're playing just non-stop, it sounds monotonous. Make sure there are logical breaks. Think like a horn player would play. They would have to stop and pause and take another breath before they play again. That's a good thing to have in your playing, to not just be non-stop, but to know when to pause. You can pause on a vibrato. So maybe you have a fast flurry. There's a natural pause. Natural pause. Pause. Okay. And then you can work on combining various techniques together. But first, just get that process going. Okay, hopefully that's been helpful to you. I know this has been more conceptual than playing stuff, but I think it's important, and I think it's something that really hangs up a lot of players, and you can kind of just get stuck in that for years and not really progress with your improvisations. And then you just think you're not good at improvising. That's not true. We just need a better process. So I'll be talking a lot more about this. Make sure you subscribe so you can get these videos. I try and do them every week and various topics, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that. Also, I've got a free sweep picking guide for you guys. Make sure you check that out in the link below, and I'll see you next time. Rock on.